African proverb put it in perspective. And money is sharper than this word. This reminds us of the importance of money in any venture. However, that importance of money alone is not what is needed in climate change. Of course, money is needed, but the kind of investments can no longer be social investments. It must be a different investment thinking. Even more important is effective means of sustaining this finance. As of today, Africa needs about 2.5 trillion US dollars to implement all the nationally determined contributions combined. At the same time, with the Sustainable Development Goals, Africa needs every year. We are left with about 10 years or so to implement the Sustainable Development Goals, of which Goal 13 is climate action. Every year, the continent needs 1.2 trillion US dollars. So if you were to do a rough arithmetic and divide by 52 countries, each country needs about 20 billion. I said roughly. The question is, where will this money come from? These are practical questions that we must be able to ask them so that we're not living in illusion. Where will this money come from? And if we were to have little, but the good news is that actually studies by the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa show that Africa is contributing each and every year $3 billion US dollars in the area of adaptation. But the question we must ask is, within the sphere of adaptation, is that money invested in areas that can bring more return on investment? These are practical questions that we must then be able to answer. Distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, with a declining official development assistance, it is clear that climate action in the African continent cannot be financed through direct social-driven financing. Financing models must go beyond socially driven investment financing. And for these two key areas to prioritize are building on already existing structures, leveraging even on indigenous structures. When we were growing up, called cooperatives. When we were growing up, I could see my mother, for example, them coming together and contributing little money to buy a bench in church, or to buy books, or to send the kids to school. We can build on that. We can build on those structures and invest in areas that can bring high return on investment. As an example, farmers, for example, in Cameroon, in Togo, Nigeria, were in a cooperative where they had already pooled their money to purchase solar dryers. Through these pooled resources, they were able to acquire clean energy systems to dry and mill their cassava, and as a result, earn over about 150% more. These extra revenues were then plowed back to this cooperative to enable a sustainable financing model. Climate finance, therefore, should move beyond social-driven financing to investment financing, targeted at creating enterprises. And that takes me to my last point. We are at a time, distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, facts are facts. The population of the entire African continent is youthful. Over 60% of this population have youth below the age of 35. That means that the biggest constituency to drive climate action in the African continent are the youth, whether we like it or not. Without having the youth on the driver's seat to drive climate action, regardless of what we do, it will not add up. They must become the drivers of climate action, and the best way for them to do this is through two words: skills retooling. Distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, an African proverb tells it all, that learning expands great souls. What this is telling us is that in the context of this discussion here today, knowledge, as the motto of Bar Istanbul University goes, that knowledge empowers progress, drives progress. It's a reminder that knowledge is the formidable investment Africa needs to drive climate action. With the right research, the right tools, to be able to drive climate action, engaging the youth, we will not only be putting in place a formidable force, but also creating an opportunity where the youth can be able to benefit. Studies indicate that a skilled person capable of turning challenges into opportunities is 4 times the value of produced capital and 15 times the value of natural capital. In other words, while discussions to accelerate Africa's transformation have traditionally dwelt on material, under the changing climate, that discussion and premise can no longer be the same. It must be on the skill of people, especially the young people, given the right tools, so that they can unlock enterprises as they drive climate action, more to benefit themselves. Because the irony is that these young people, though 60% of the population, they're also 60% unemployed. And each and every year, 12 million of them are getting into the labor market only to compete with 3 million jobs. That literally means that every month, 1 million jobs supposed to be created. And most of them find themselves buried under the Mediterranean Sea as they cross to look for greener pastures, or others sold into slavery or pastoral song as they look for elusive greener pastures. These are realities. And the changing climate will only make this worse. It will redefine the contours of this continent more dramatically than any other thing that has ever happened. And therefore, engaging them to ensure that we can be able to drive transformation is key. And examples of young people already engaged in climate action are all dotted across the entire continent. But the engagement of these young people cannot be the traditional way that we use. It must be from a different paradigm shift. One where we leverage on their skills. The tech-savvy youth can be able to come up with applications. For example, like in Kenya, where youth have been guided to align their skills, to refine their skills, and improve their skills, have come up with a mobile application called Bago Pamoja that is providing a mitigation solution of solar dryers to farmers. This is also happening in other countries. And based on the fact that we can be able to engage them and guide them in a structured way, is one aspect that we can be able to leverage. One key ingredient to making skills retooling work is one aspect that we cannot ignore when we discuss climate action: selflessness. The question of what am I doing? Because our mere existence is the biggest blessing. What can I be able to do to contribute to drive climate action? Selflessness is the most important aspect. The primary motivation should never be about self-aggrandizement, but about providing solutions, not self-fulfillment. And this is the essence of what we call innovative volunteerism: to engage people, their skills, their talents, to ensure they can contribute to move the needle within the climate action space. Distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it is a stick in hand that kills the snake. The vibrancy, growth, and longevity of Africa's built environment sector calls for out-of-the-box approaches that builds on what has already been said here today. As a continent, sometimes we have externalized our challenges and also externalized the solutions. But we should always know that each and every one represents a solution. Climate action solutions are people. It is people that need to take action to be able to move the needle. And unless we put them at the center, on the cockpit of progress, we cannot be able